Chapter 8. I'd barely made it home when the moment I imagined all the way there came to pass. I walked up the stairs of the porch, and my heart tugged as I reached for the doorknob. "Don't bother," my gut whispered. So I didn't. I sat down on the top step and programmed my new ally's number into my cell phone. I'd just hit save when the headlights blinded me. I lifted a hand as the spotlight switched on. I stood up and walked as nonchalantly as I could muster to the front of the cruiser. "Hello, officer. I assume you're looking for me?" I stared into the face that had been my second largest pain in the ass, next to his sister. "So strange. I never pictured you as a cop. Maybe a lawyer," I smirked, barely concealing my contempt. "I assume you know why I'm here?" "Because I spanked your sister in the face." I held out my hands in submission. I could tell he was trying not to smile. "Assault is a serious charge, Cameron. Coming from you, that's hilarious. How about we consider it retribution for the 10 years you two dealt me? Or do I need to pull out our baby pictures again for a judge?" The lights behind me turned on. My mom came to the door. "Kim, what's this?" I turned to see her shielding her eyes. I could feel Russ stepping up behind me. "Sorry to bother you, Miss Kensington. I just need to talk to your daughter for a bit." I couldn't stand the look on my mom's face. I'd done enough damage. "Yeah, Mom, it's no big deal. I ran into Megan down at the bowling alley. Russ was just apologizing for how miserable they'd made my childhood. That's all. He's about off shift, so I'm going to jump in with him and catch up. I need to get out of the house for a while." My mom's face relaxed. "Oh, well, that's nice. Thanks for stopping by, Russ. Can I get you guys a thermos of hot cocoa or something?" "No, Mom, thanks. I'll be right back." She nodded and waved. Now smiling, she closed the door. But I could picture her peeping through the living room window, while leaving it mostly covered in curtains. "Thanks for not saying anything," I mumbled, getting ready to jump into the front seat. "What are you doing?" He finally cracked a smile. "Nuh-uh. Backseat, you." I grinned back. "Oh, come on. You know she's looking through the curtains, Russ. Please, for appearance sake." I clutched my hand around the door latch, determined. "You can stop around the corner and stick me in the back seat if you want," I pleaded. He rolled his eyes. "All right, get in." I whooped and crawled into the front seat. He got in on the other side and buckled himself, turning off the spotlight at the same time. I looked over and offered a grateful smile. He didn't feel like an enemy anymore. "I promise I will contain my guns," I flexed jokingly. "The sheriff wants to press charges," Russ explained. "This isn't some joke, Cameron." "Oh, you mean your dad?" I dropped the fun act and rolled my eyes. "If you'd have heard what she said, even you would have felt different," I muttered. "Words are words. Physical attack is totally different." "I didn't attack. I offered a warning and left the scene before things could escalate. I barely escalated force. She was breathing in my face like 2 inches away. I could have kissed her." "Well, maybe you should have." "Oh, so sexual assault's better?" Cam, you're not helping your case. He flipped on the blinker and pulled to the side of the road, just out of sight of my house, waiting expectantly. Seriously, we're like 4 blocks away. He nodded. I got out of the car and slammed the door, walked to the back of the cruiser and opened it. I slunk into the plastic bucket seat. You know, you were a huge dick growing up. You and Megan both. I think we both know she deserved exactly what she got and more. You aren't helping. This is where you plead the fifth and remain silent. And this is where I remind you that you didn't read me my rights. And this is where I remind you also, I was doing you a solid in front of your mom. Damn it. I didn't answer. I watched the houses creep by as we slowly pulled away, only slightly regretting not taking my mom up on the hot chocolate. A little comfort might have been nice. I was shivering from the walk home, and the old resentment toward the rusty nail in my shoe had slipped back into view. We rode in silence until Russ finally spoke up. Hey, kiddo, how's your face? I glanced over to see his cell phone against his. Uh-huh. Well, is it broken? Oh, gotcha. He nodded as if the person on the other end might see it. I rolled my eyes back to the window and crossed my arms. The streetlights were the only items offering any semblance of warmth. There must have been clouds because none of the stars or moon were in sight. I pulled out my phone and went to my messages. My mom and dad were the only 2 names inside the frame. Over time, everyone else had slowly disappeared. I tapped the new message button for the first time since I had left the hospital. It felt good. Brian. I tapped out the contact until only one number appeared in the display and selected it. Hey Brian, it's Cameron. If the offer still stands, I could really use a ride from the station in an hour or so. Send. I slid the cell into my lap and continued watching the blocks pass through. Well, so it isn't broken, Rusty was saying. I'm thinking you should maybe take the high road on this one, Megs. I could hear Megan screeching back at the helpful advice. Megan, you bullied her our entire childhood. That's not going to look good if she takes the case to court, which is totally within her rights. Her mother has picture proof. That could not only get the case thrown out when it's paired with what the eyewitnesses have to say about your instigation tonight, the entire thing could potentially ruin your image in the public eye. Not to mention, it could keep Mom from getting elected when she runs next year. You gotta think ahead, kiddo. That's never been your strong suit, but maybe here's where we start. There was a brief pause, where he allowed her to throw another stink, and to be honest, I was relishing it. It felt good to see some poetic justice served by Megan's prior conspirator. At least one of them had learned some sense. Yeah, I know. And that's another reason I'm thinking we cut our losses, kiddo. Maybe you take this one for the team. He chuckled quietly. Hey, remember when I got that black eye in baseball and you were so jealous because it looked so cool? Well, now you can say you got one. I laughed as my phone buzzed at me. I pulled it up. New message. Brian. It's a date. I get off in half an hour anyway, so that'll give me time to go home and roll one for us. I smiled. Felt a little bit like Robin Hood, sitting in the back of a cop car talking about a little herbal relaxation. I don't smoke, remember? That was Maddie's thing. But that sounds great. Don't let me stop you. Send. And thanks a million, Brian. I owe you. Send. So, Russ started up. I just talked with Megan. She agreed to get the sheriff to drop charges. You mean your dad? I reiterated. Anyway, smart move on her part, based on your own projections. Thanks for that. I did it to protect her, he assured me. Sure, I smiled, shrugging. Frankly, the why didn't really matter to me. I still have to book you, he offered after a moment of quiet. Sure, why not? I replied, as he made the final turn into the parking lot. Do you have cash on you? He asked. Yeah, I do. I was planning on spending it at the bowling alley with your lovely psycho sister. Not helping, Cam. Not trying, I smiled. Well, let's get this over with so I can get you back home before your mom starts getting ideas. Oh, no, that's fine. I'll let her know I ran into a friend. I have a ride. All right, good. Russ hopped out of the cruiser and made his way around to my door. All things considered, it had been a productive night. I smiled to myself over the adventure and how well it had all played out while he led me to the double doors.